You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one where the horns are always down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Horns Down Podcast.
What's up, people? A little pop-up pod that we're doing right here. It's been a minute since he's been on the channel, but you know, my favorite YouTuber, I know you probably get tired of me saying that, but my favorite YouTuber, one of the guys that honestly got me into doing this because I love watching his videos, him speaking his mind, him telling the facts. It's always a mix of something. Still to this day.
I assumed I was excommunicado like a John Wick, because everyone else is. I was like, he's going to say something or do something, but get him out of here.
No, listen. The only gripe that I have with you is that you know you have a lawyer friend in me, and
okay.
When Anwar and all the rest of them over there, the Orange Bloods was giving
I
was like, Sean, just reach out. I'm ready. I'm willing.
I promise you, it was a lot easier just to let the 3 months go by and just be like, you know what, I'm fine. It did make me go, oh crap, I can't roll the dice. Not that I would get in trouble, but it's like things change all the time with YouTube. So it's like I have these hype videos I made years ago, and there are days in the back of my head I need to take those down just to be safe. And I know those are a couple of those are favorites for some people, but it's like I would just tell people, if you like any of my hype videos, just download them now just in case. The day may come where I just go, these gotta go, just because one day ESPN or someone higher up gets a hair up their butt and they're like, you made a video. It's like, I'm not making money off
I mean, fair use, this and that, but still, look, Orange Bloods, look. Don't mess with my guy, okay? Don't mess with my guy.
I won't say some of the things I said on my channel because I try to be respectful with language and stuff, but I do slip at times, so I was.
Hey, you already know. Hey, horns down. Look.
Well, no, that's the nicest thing I'll say. The nicest thing I will say about them is that I watch every Texas opener every year, that's one of the better opening games I've seen in a long time. So I never let it be said that I don't give credit where credit's due when it's warranted. So I know this is the Horns Down, but I will say, you know what, y'all, look. You beat Colorado State like you're supposed to. I'm not going to give you more credit than that. You're Texas and you're supposed to beat them that way. Congratulations. That's what teams like
Sean, look. I'll give them that game, and I'm not even going to hate on them.
No.
But wait a minute, I do got to pour a little bit of salt on Quinn Ewers.
Yes.
When Quinn Ewers takes off running, nothing good is ever going to happen. Well, there's
you're wrong about that. You're wrong because you know who the Golden Boy is right behind him, so it's going to be okay.
Look. There's three things that can happen whenever Quinn Ewers decides to take off running. One is probably going to be he's probably going to throw an interception. Two, he's probably going to get hurt. Or three, he'll pick up a couple of yards, maybe, and finally slide, right?
I wish no ill will towards the young man, but he did sign up for the Fansville commercials, which I have determined is a curse now. Because every player that's guest starred on Fansville, it not ended well for them or their team.
That's a curse, but that's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to keep it there. Y'all won. Y'all did y'all thing. Great job. Y'all went out there and killed it. Texas fans give me all the flack. I did pick Colorado State just for kicks and giggles. So I was know better than that. I was just taking a jab. So, hey, hit me up. But regardless,
you believe Jay Norvell was going to get the job done? Shame on you.
I was waiting for him to pull something dirty, but that's just me. But no, look, the Team 130 was in action. I was at that game. With my aunt people, we left that game, I guess, just a tad bit pessimistic at times simply because of the old line. But I mean, it's overreaction. Let me pull an Orange Bloods card. Don't censor me, people. Don't do anything. Don't copyright me, right? But we could talk about overreaction. Were there any overreactions that you had from that game against Temple?
Overreactions? There could be overreactions on both sides. I mean, if you could come away from that game thinking this is the greatest defense I've ever seen in my life. But then again, it is Temple. What I will always say to people is like, look, Temple's a really bad team. We knew they're going to be a bad team, but it's nice to see a defense treat them like the bad team they were. So that's the one thing you kind of take away from that. This wasn't all right, it's 3rd and 15, and he gave up a 25-yard 50-50 ball down the sideline. It's like, no, none of that was really going down. The O-line is concerning. Hickman going down, I've heard conflicting whether it's a regular ankle sprain or a high. I don't know at this point. I'm sure Brent will clarify hopefully tomorrow. He needs to get back. I know Fabici was a little inconsistent. He was better as the game went along, so that really makes me feel better there. I know guys are banged up, but it was, I mean, I like Gabe Iker kind of stole my thunder when he said that instead of just putting Joshua Bates in there at center, he moved around the entire O-line. And I thought, okay, Bates must still be hurt. And then I see his ass running on the field late in the game to do mop-up duty. I'm like, oh, no, don't do that to me. Bill, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
And look, I'm sure, again, that's probably puts that into overreaction. I just need them to see, look, Houston's not going to be good either. They were awful. They were 1 minute away from getting shut out by UNLV. Yeah. So I kind of expect a somewhat similar performance next week. Wearing their nice, clean throwbacks against another red and white team, which kind of I don't like. I wish it was against Tulane instead, but that's neither here nor there. But the point is, if I could see them just look a little more competent, depending on who's healthy, Jake Taylor's ready to go. I know they held out a bunch, like Nick Anderson. I'm sure if this was like a Texas game, Nick Anderson would have played or something like that. So they held out a bunch of guys to hold them out. But the O-line is like the one area of concern. It sucks that Farouk broke his foot. Not ideal. Now you're really getting down the depth chart, and you're seeing Brendan Thompson had a rough night because every time he tried to get his hands on the ball, just nothing happened. And JJ Hester, you're running routes great, and you're getting balls thrown to you, but catching the ball would help. Holding on to the ball, and then seeing what happens after that would be neat. I think people in the chat are saying we have a kicker now, and it's like, I'd rather not jinx it and just say, yeah, we kicked field goals when we had to, and that's what's important. And EA Sports needs to update the young man's number because I try to go up and update it myself. They won't let you change numbers on there, and that really.
Oh no! If you change the number, then that'll zero hit that player out, and he's basically no go. I guess I did have a bit of an overreaction. If you guys saw the instant reaction pod that we did Saturday, shout out to Chris Mason. Go and check him out, Suitors 360. But when I watched the game back, I watched the entire game back. First things first, I thought Latrell called a really good game, regardless if it was vanilla or not. I still saw things that I've seen watching a lot of film from North Texas. And all the way back to North Carolina, kind of like Stephen G and some other guys said in the chat this past Saturday. The run game was really just kind of hat on hat, just a variation of really one play, right? Passing wise, Jackson Norton, I felt like he had a really good day. It's just the offensive line was inconsistent. But one thing I didn't mention on Saturday that I'll mention now is this right here, and I think this is an important point. I think a lot of people are forgetting Bill Beatonbow's philosophy of it's not the most talented five, it's the best five that play together, right? And so when Hickman went down, maybe that's what made everything just basically become unhinged, right? So you kind of have to think about that. I'm going to tend to give the Beatonbow the benefit of the doubt because by the time Tennessee rolls in here, honestly, by Tulane, I think that we will have a better idea of what we have. But I don't think that the offensive line necessarily played up to its capability. Maybe that was just a one-game type of thing. But I'm not going to sit here and be doom and gloom because I still think that the sky is the limit for this team. You just got to get guys healthy. And I mean, once Anderson is back, I think Andrell Anthony being out there, definitely getting a catch or two like he did. I think he's going to be okay. I think Brennan Thompson is going to be fine, but in kind of like a backup role. But I would love to see Kearney carry on. So one of those freshmen, somebody has to step up and be that third wide receiver.
Maybe I don't know. Just but they're going to have to, because it's just Andrew Anthony has to be a part of this offense again. They can't. They're not going to be successful this year offensively unless he. And I know he's come back, and I think for him it's going to be that mental aspect still.
Yeah.
Because it's he wasn't needed in the game. He got a few reps here and there. He wasn't really like they didn't really attempt to stretch the field that much. So. Like the thing with Oklahoma was say, well, we played a vanilla playbook. You can get away with saying that when you win 51-3 and you have a defensive performance like you did. So, yeah. I mean, I say get away because whether it's true or not, I mean, look, you won 51-3. If you're like Oregon and you said, we played vanilla, I was like, you played Idaho. What's going on? Like for whatever reason, Big Ten Network wasn't working for me this past weekend, so I couldn't check out what was going on. I just saw everything all right up there? Dylan, you good? Is everything okay? Your numbers look good on paper, but all right, we'll check on you later, buddy.
Yeah.
But no, but overall, just I'm just glad the weather cooperated. I know that was a big thing. I was like, oh Lord, don't do lightning delay stuff in the first game.
That was great. That was great that the weather held up.
Yeah. So
no, I mean, I felt like I said, I felt like Latrell called a really good game. I think the offensive line just didn't have a good day. I was thoroughly impressed with the usage of the tight ends. We
actually have tight ends now.
We actually have tight ends. Looks like we actually have a stable-minded running back room. It looks like we're going to have a decent running game whenever the offensive line does click. I mean,
stretch him out.
A lot of positives.
Just contain him outside and give him an open space. Like, don't worry about running in between the tackles. Nah, just go around him and do your thing too.
Yeah, and I think you'll see a lot of that. But I also think that as the season develops, I think people are going to be thoroughly impressed with this run game, simply because some of the things that Latrell does with his scheme, it's not necessarily complex, but it makes a lot of sense for what we're trying to do, especially with that inside run. But I do think you're going to see a lot of outside game as well. But I mean, I'm excited about it. Defensively, I really don't have too much to say, except for I think that the term competitive depth that was used so much last year actually applies to this team this year, because you have a lot of guys. And when we get McCullough back, I mean, come on, people, the sky's the limit for this defense. And maybe it'll be a bunch of heart attack games, some with the offense, if they continue to have, if this were to continue, but which I don't necessarily see it continuing. But at the same time, if we're relying on our defense, I trust our defense, and I trust BV wholeheartedly. And I'm almost there to the point where, I think Zach Alley is going to be really, 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 really freaking good for us. So I'm excited about this team. And with that said, let's go ahead and just kind of do a quick preview of Houston.
Well, I was just going to say, Brent and Zach Alley, they figured out the secret sauce. Just have a +6 turnover margin every game, and you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know why every team doesn't do that. +6 in the turnover margin. Come on now. Just like, everyone should be doing that.
You almost had 7 if Bowman could have hung on to that pick.
That circus almost just everything went right for that defense.
And the crazy thing is that they rotated a lot of guys and they held some people out. I mean, Gentry Williams was out there he's very minimal work. Woody didn't play. But I mean that just goes to show that, yeah. But I mean, I say all in all from that game, this is the last thing I'll say about that game is we weren't the only team that kind of at some point struggled during the game, right? Struggled out the gates or whatnot. Outside of possibly Tennessee, Ole Miss, and some teams, it took a second to get that engine going, but they finally did. But
there are certain games it's getting to the point. These FCS games are a joke, and I've been a proponent for years that people need to stop playing those games because any FCS team worth a damn has moved up to FBS level anyway, like Appalachian State and stuff like that. So it's just, to me, it's like they need to stop that. And it's just, you're the bigger the sport is getting, the more money they're forcing fans to pay for season tickets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to see these glorified scrimmages. I know coaches love them because it's like they can play all their guys and do all this stuff. It's like a payday game for those other schools, and people disagree with me on it. I'm just like, the more expensive it is to get involved in the sport and see the sport, it's like, okay, you want more money because we could go into the SEC. Okay, fine. I don't want to see you play Chattanooga anymore. You can play someone with a pulse a little bit.
I don't want to see you play Furman either.
It's like,
because Ole Miss, I was like, y'all are 56-0.5. But
like, what does this game prove? What does it show you? Does it really show you anything? No. And I kind of feel the same. I mean, even though Temple is technically FBS, I kind of feel the same way. I felt the same way about Arkansas State last year. It's just, all right, we won 7-3-0. Does that tell us anything? Not really. But at the same time, it's like, well, if I think LSU needs to start doing some of those like cupcake games again, because they can't start off. That's like year 5 in a row.
Hold that thought, because we're gonna talk about that. Purple Orca, we'll be talking about that.
Oh my God!
But let's preview Houston first. So obviously, people, let's not sit here and still take them for granted. Look, Willie Fritz is there. He doesn't, I told my uncle, I said, hey man, I think next weekend should be a pretty good game. Obviously I think a lot of people feel that Tulane is going to be the best non-con game that we have this year. But when you look at Houston, you still say, hey, Willie Fritz is there. Willie Fritz is a good coach. Willie Fritz has done some really good things at leaving at Tulane, now going to Houston. So, but, I leaned over to my uncle and mentioned that same thing to him. And he said, I love Willie Fritz as a coach, but he just does not have any talent down there this year.
No, this is year 1 of a rebuild for Houston for him. And unfortunately, it's just, again, well, I tried to tell people a couple weeks ago, it's like, because I was accused of, you're looking past Houston. You shouldn't look past Houston. It was like, I'm going to look past Houston. I'm going to, because I've keep up with like every team we play this year, and I've read the reports of things, and it's like Houston is a lot closer to Temple than they are Tulane. And it's just, they do not have the horses. Now, I think the one name they have, you might recall, Latrell McCutcheon has made his way to Houston.
Yeah.
So that's a name you've heard of before.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be able to do anything on his own. And it's just, I hate to pick on people, but when you get recruited and start up here and then you slowly work your way down here, it's like, maybe the word bust comes into, maybe it's not totally fair, but his dad wasn't happy with the coaching staff at Oklahoma. So, but yet they followed them to SC and then still unhappy.
Well, it kind of, the doors were kind of closing on him because he played that limbo game with OU and Baylor, is from kind of things that I've heard around that whole situation. So that was really one of the only alleyways that he had to try to get out of a bind. So, that's that story or whatnot. If you people have heard that, then you've heard it. If not, then, hit me up off the green screen. Maybe I'll shed some light. But no, I mean, and to be fair, outside of Brian Odom, who else on that defense, on that defensive staff for them did you actually have faith in? I mean, he was a 4-star lockdown corner per se that was being coached by a linebacker, right? So, I mean, it kind of is what it is, but he's down there by himself. It looks like they got beat by UNLV of all people at home, which UNLV people, look, UNLV is not, I mean, I think they went 9-3 last year. That go-go offense with Brendan Marriott. No, it's not Brendan Marriott. It's who's running that offense up there?
I don't know off the top of my head. I've been paying too much
attention. Gosh, somebody. I know it was he was at Texas. It may have been Brendan Marriott. I think that's who it was. But yeah, that go-go offense and all the rest of that stuff. I'm not gonna say they're a great team, but they're a well-oiled machine. They're ahead and they're rebuilding. The cycle.
The problem with Houston is like they're switching from like an air raid to like a ground based spread, and they just don't have the offensive linemen to run that yet.
Yeah.
And if you think they're going to have success against what we saw Norman this past Friday,
yeah,
it's going to be a long day. Donovan Smith's their quarterback. It's one game, and I don't know if he's even going to keep the job long term. So,
what is he? Is he just is he a pocket guy, dual threat guy?
It's whatever he's trying to do is not working. Like his efficiency rate is like bottom of the barrel, it seems. So, this is kind of the reasons why I politely tell people, no, Houston's not going to be the game. Just because Willie Fritz is there, it's kind of like when Brent came over year one. This is like an extreme comparison, but there's a lot of people outside the program and even inside and fans, like they thought Brent could wave a magic wand year one and fix what Lincoln Riley screwed up defensively. No, it's taken him up to this point to get the defense that we've been dreaming of. You know what I mean? So even Brent he had to rebuild from scratch. And to be fair to Willie Fritz, he's got to do the same thing. Now, he's in a talent-rich state who, you know, even some 3-stars he can grab that are, because it's Texas and he can build something there potentially. But it's next Saturday night on the SEC Network. If we don't see a somewhat similar performance from Oklahoma, I would be a little shocked. They're going to try some misdirection. That's kind of like I'm being very generous when I say this. But that's kind of like the best that Houston's going to be able to do. And
and that's one of the things, people, I want you guys to really focus on is the fact that that's good for us. That's great for us, because that's going to, it's great that Kip has put on the weight. It's great that guys have taken leaps or whatnot and look really good. But this is yet again another test that we're going to have to see, because this is going to be part of, in the SEC, I don't necessarily believe that you're going to have a bunch of teams that are going to sit there and say, we're going to get the ball out of our hands quickly because, we're scared of this. I think you're going to face a lot of SEC teams that are going to say, we're going to go man on man and mano a mano, right? But there are going to be those teams out there that we play that are going to window dress a lot of stuff. Kiffin, Kiffin and Ole Miss are going to do it. I could see Missouri doing it. I know that when you play, the Bamas of the world are going to do it with the board now. They're going to give us a lot of stuff. And if you think about it, I mean, from year one to year two, we were better about it, but it still was something that would get us from time to time. Hell, go back to the Arizona game where it's a lot of pre-snap stuff. So you have to be ready for it because the misdirection, different things like that is coming. So I think we're primed and ready to deal with that. But that's something to be looking at, be on the lookout for. How do we handle that? I think that would be really one of the top 5 narratives of this game this weekend. Is just how do we handle that misdirection? And misdirection doesn't just mean the run game. That can mean the offense as well, because I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot of rollouts and trying to get him guys isolated kind of on that perimeter and really trying to attack the corners and different things like that. So we shall see, but I'm excited about it. I think that we're going to do good. I know we're going to be heavily favored again. Did we cover the spread?
It was 20. I think it's like 27.5 right now.
Yeah.
Last I check. I think we'll cover the spread.
Okay.
I just again, for me, it comes out of the offensive line. If they can get a little more coherent and they're able to, DeMarco will be back this week because he stayed at home and caught up on some Netflix or something.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't even think he's watching the game.
He's like, I'll watch film later. We good. But like, there is part of me that wonders if DeMarco, because like I think Nick Basquin was like the substitute teacher for the running backs, and it's like DeMarco's like, I guess imagine him screaming, like, "You put him in the game, he can't pass block. What are you doing?" I'm just imagining him sitting at home watching, screaming, "Don't put him in!"
Nah,
he hasn't learned this. He hasn't learned this formation yet.
I leaned over to Mono. I was like, man, I bet you DeMarco's at home, not even watching the game. He's probably catching up on his show or something.
I explained to one of my friends the other night what spray tan meant, and he's like, because I made a spray tan joke. He's like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, you didn't hear that story, did you? We'll leave it alone.
I wish you. I was like,
that's an adult story.
Yeah,
But yeah, for the most part, it's like it sounds like I know they moved the big Walk of Champions thing to the north side and everything. I know people see it. That seemed to be a big hit, moving it to the other side. Again, just sounds like it was a great atmosphere overall, and I've heard not many complaints. Well, my buddy Josh complained. I'm like, I don't know. I know there were concession stand issues, so first world problems. What else was there? They didn't show as many replays this year for whatever reason.
It was just that I don't know what it was, but it was a great atmosphere. I mean, everybody was jacked and everybody was really hyped about what's going on. And contrary to your beliefs, Trammell, it pretty much was a sellout. I'm not even gonna lie, like there wasn't necessarily an NBC in that crowd. So it was, but no, all in all, I thought it was a good game, and like I said, I look forward to this OU OU Houston game. I'm really excited about week 2 because we got some really good games coming up in week 2.
I wish it was a noon kickoff. Not gonna lie, because there's certain games. Well, let me rephrase that: a 3:30 kick. How about that? I'll be watching Texas Michigan. I'll be doing a watch along for that one. Because how could you not? Texas winning that game and I predicted that before the season started. Because it's just a lot of buddies like, man, I hope Michigan beats Texas. Like, you're gonna be disappointed.
Let's say that week 2. Let's say that week 2 just for a second. We talked about OU Houston. Kind of got your thoughts about it. Let's kind of recap just a couple of games from week 1. People, if there's a game that you want us to talk about, definitely put it in the chat. But I would say let's start with Texas A&M. Let's start with Texas A&M Notre Dame. What is your final thoughts about that game?
It's a rough first start for Mike Elko. A&M's a program that just a couple of years ago was try to do everything they can to take advantage of the NIL rules and everything. And they had like 80,000 5-stars on their roster. Most of them, jumped ship. Things weren't working out. And then they brought Elko in to try to fix things. And it's, Mike Elko, the long run might be the right coach for A&M, but it still leaves a sour taste in the mouth of the Aggies and their fan base, which I find hilarious and I enjoy every second that they suffer. But that meant Notre Dame had to win too, which I don't like them either. So there is that. But yeah, Notre Dame got a big win, and there's this narrative that the SEC is crumbling, which I don't know if it hits different now that we're SEC teams now, but it's like I don't really care either way. It's like, wow, my team won their game. They took care of business. Yeah. That's all I care about.
I come in kind of, well, Apache, I will disagree with you on your middle sentence, right? I'm not a fan of Weigman. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I picked Texas A&M to win this game, but the way that it played out is the way that I described it on the SEC Connect, on my pod, talking to different people as well when we were talking about the game, championship standard. Shout out to those guys as well. I said it. Look, I felt like the first team to crack 17 points was going to win the game. I felt like this was going to be a 3-and-out galore type of festivity, right? And so I think I was right. I'll step out on a limb and say I was right. But I thought A&M would win simply because they were playing at home. I thought they would be jacked. I thought they would give that offensive line for Notre Dame the heebie-jeebies. But at some point, Notre Dame just said, hey, look, we established a run and we're going to run the ball. And they did. They popped off some really good runs, and Riley Leonard was solid all the way throughout the game.
Yeah.
You kind of look at Texas A&M, you just say, hey, look, y'all got to score points. Like, you can't. And silly me, but I put too much faith in Colin Klein. I'm not the biggest Colin Klein fan. Amazing player. Really good play caller. I'll give him that. He's a really good play caller, just not my cup of tea. you got to be a little bit more explosive than what you were just trying to dink and dive. And maybe that has a lot of that has to do with what was it, Reuben Foster, who's out now with that injury. It
was a big loss for him.
Yeah.
And like I kind of look at both these teams, like, you know, I kind of look at them the same way as I do like SC and LSU last night. I just, you know, it's one of those. All right, these two teams are playing and they're ranked or whatever, and it's like, how good are either of these teams? Yeah. I think for Notre Dame, it's a bigger deal that Notre Dame won, because if the Aggies had won and they were frauds, for example, they would have been exposed very quickly.
Yeah.
For Notre Dame, it's different because you look at Notre Dame's schedule and it's like, all right, if that was kind of their toughest game for the time being, like, who's going to challenge them on paper anytime soon? You look down the schedule, it's like W, like maybe Georgia Tech, maybe Florida State, and then you get down to SC at the end of the year and that's a maybe there too.
Yeah.
So if Notre Dame is a typical above average, like old school Brian Kelly, I know he's not there, but if like that, they would run through this schedule for the most part, in my opinion. Like Notre Dame's schedule, I look at that schedule. If I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm excited. I'm like, number 5 seed, here we come, because that's the highest they could go.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm Notre Dame, I'm like, let's run this thing and get that number 5 and go.
Unless they're undefeated.
Well, if they're undefeated, they still have the number 5 seed. You can't get the top 4. They won't be a conference
champion. That is true.
That is a rule written down.
That is true.
And they said, guys, are you sure you're up for this? Like, they do not want to join a conference. They do not want to do any of that. So we will never be higher than 5. I'm like, all right.
Let's
number
see.
5 is actually, even though you play an extra game, it's actually not a bad.
It's not a bad.
It actually is secretly kind of the best pass to get to.
You get a home game too out of that, probably.
Yeah, you got a home game, and then you potentially avoid some tougher teams, depending.
Yeah.
Because anyway.
Hank says ATM versus Notre Dame reminded me of 2 service academies playing. That's hilarious. Patchy said Notre Dame online looked good for being young and now to coach their trenches. I get that. I definitely think that's true. Let's see. They may be just evenly matched with yeah. I think my thoughts about the game is that I think Connor Weigman is going to have to be better. He's going to have to will this team to some wins this year. I think defensively they're going to be tough to move the ball on, but just like any really good defensive team, unless you're Iowa for whatever reason. Shout out to Iowa people. They scored 40 points this weekend. That's probably more points than they've scored combined in the last 5 seasons. But regardless, A&M, I mean, hey, look, I think Elko is going to be really good for them. He's going, at the very least, he's going to stabilize that program and put it in have it going in a good direction. But I'm just not a fan of Connor Weigman. So that's Connor Weigman, and it's kind of like what I've said people about DJU and Norvell. That is not a match made in heaven. Why would you? We'll get to those 2 later, but just Colin Klein and Weigman, I don't know. I think he's too talented to kind of play the game that Colin Klein has had to play, and at K-State, because he was doing more with less. I think with Connor Weigman, if he's this 5-star kid that you want, that was highly touted, that a lot of people still have a lot of high hopes for, I think you kind of got to let him actually play and not just dink and dive down the field. And you got to kind of open that offense up.
It's just a place where 5 stars go to die, honestly. Yeah. And it's, I don't think it matters who the head coach is. It's a culture problem down there. It's been a culture problem forever. It's a cult. And I mean, I'm sorry. Like when your greatest season ever is like a COVID Orange Bowl win against a North Carolina team whose best players didn't play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Now, here's another good comment from Hank. Hank says the best thing about the Notre Dame schedule is that Brian Kelly isn't there to choke on a cupcake. And that is true, because we all know that Notre Dame plays Northern Illinois this week, right? we all know how that usually goes. They go and win a game like this right here, play their hearts out in a loss, then come back home and struggle to beat, USAO here in Oklahoma, right?
Wow.
That was a strange.
Dang.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but I mean the whole thing. The whole thing is that that's typically what they do. But I'm rooting for Marcus Freeman. I thought he had a good game plan. I thought he played concise and precise, and he opened it up when he needed to. Defensively, they looked the part, so it looked like a really good Notre Dame team. They just had to continue this momentum. And whenever they do play these cupcakes or teams that they're better than, they need to go out there and be elite and beat those teams, opposed to me and you watching a game, sitting here texting back and forth and saying, "Oh yeah, this is good," and all of a sudden looking at the ESPN ticker and see that they're down to Marshall by 5 going into the fourth quarter, right? Like that just can't happen.
It wouldn't be Notre Dame football unless you had a close game against Toledo or something.
That's factual. That is factual.
It's only on Peacock.
The next game we'll talk about, obviously, let's talk about the one that happened last night. LSU and Brian Kelly. LSU and Brian Kelly against Tebow and USC. Look, people, I picked USC. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I picked USC. I had a feeling. Sean, listen to me. Hear me for a second. There are two times that you do not want to face Lincoln Riley. And first, that is in championship November when he thinks that he has all the juice and he has a really good team. It doesn't matter how bad the defense is, because Riley's defense is and has always been and will be and will continue to be. I'm outscore you, right? Then second off is in the first part of the season when he has all the time in the world to prepare for you, because a lot of the looks that he's going to give you, he's going to run trick plays off of that somehow. He's going to have some type of new wrinkle in there that you didn't even think about. But last night, it just looked like, at times, it looked like they were the more physical team. Now, I'm not about to go out on a limb and say that their defensive woes have been fixed. Did they look better? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and hate either. But I will say this right here. Miller Moss made a lot of really good plays. His skill guys were there. They made timely plays. They made some amazing grabs. Zachariah Branch is the truth, people, regardless of what you want to say about USC and Lincoln. He is the truth. But this was a game that, after it, I don't know why. I went and got into an LSU Twitter space and I listened. I woke up at 5 o'clock. I started listening, people, at 10 o'clock. And then I woke up this morning around 3 o'clock in the morning for some reason, and they were still on there talking, and my phone didn't die. I don't know what was going on, but they were still talking. I was like, it's not that serious, and there's not that much to talk about. But regardless, you still felt like LSU should have won that game. So what are your final thoughts on that LSU USC game?
It's a shame that, Oklahoma being a founding member of the Southeastern Conference and a long-standing, anchor school in the South, the way we have been all this time for all these hours and days, retroactively founding school. I think it's seriously, we have to have a conversation about, disqualifying certain members of the conference, with LSU being up at the top, because 5 straight years of losing openers, it's not acceptable. It's unacceptable. The Florida Gators, they lost to Miami, and it's like, I thought Miami just dropped football sometime in like 2003. I could have been wrong. I didn't know Miami still had a program.
Yeah.
But, just in all seriousness, though, it's like, I went into that game thinking either one of these teams could win this game. And I'm just like, I knew walking in, it's like, it doesn't matter who wins, because either way, it's going to be hilarious. Whoever loses, the reaction's going to be insane. And whoever wins is going to get way more credit than they deserve. And that's basically what's happening. I got SC trolls coming in. It's like, you bet you still wish you had Lincoln Riley. It's like, bro, no. Like, they're trying to pull that card. We beat LSU. It's like, have you watched LSU lately?
Yeah.
They had a Heisman winner last year. Yeah. How many big games did they win with that Heisman winner? It's like none. Maybe I think they beat Ole Miss. Maybe I could be wrong, but all the big games they didn't win. So it's like it's one of those Heisman years. Yeah, put up big numbers. Didn't win a game that people remember. Or was it Missouri? Yeah, they beat Missouri. They lost everyone else. I think that was worth a damn. Because I didn't watch that Missouri game because I was too busy watching OU Texas in person. But yeah, just I mean, I knew they were high on Nussmeier. I knew the receivers. They lost all their top tier receivers in the NFL, but they still love their guys at wideout. The problem with the Brian Kelly LSU team, they're just undisciplined. They make stupid mistakes. They keep getting all these personal fouls, and it's like it looks like a team that's totally out of whack. And when they hired Brian Kelly, it's like everyone tried to tell me this is a great hire. I was like, I've never felt like it was such a downgrade at head coach in my entire life. I feel like I'm being proven right the more we see him coach LSU.
It's the Brian Kelly effect. I keep telling people this is not Cincinnati. This is not Notre Dame. This is LSU. Notre Dame has expectations, but I think LSU's expectations are always going to be higher.
Brian Kelly's not an elite head coach, guys. I'm sorry, he just isn't.
He. This is what he does. I think that his leash is getting a little bit shorter. I think it's getting a little bit shorter. Let me go to the comments real quick. Hank says LSU is moving Perkins to backup quarterback so he can be even less involved in the game.
Can we find who Perkins' PR guy is? Because I swear to God, this dude's preseason All-American SEC is like, this guy doesn't do anything and he gets hype.
No.
I swear.
He is slowly but surely becoming Nick Bonito in an Alex Grinch system. He's a spy. He's a spy. He's a nickelback. He's what Pete Golding would love. Pete Golding would love to put him at nickelback or put him at strong safety just to come out there with an exotic look.
The only person getting more hype doing less is Arch Manning. That's it. That is the only human being on the planet that is like doing less on a football field and getting more hype. That's it. Yeah. And then it's Earl Perkins.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's like, we got like him. It's like some places got him over Stutzman on certain lists, and so it's like, bro, like are they going to use this dude properly this year? And the answer seems like it's no so far.
It's like so both teams look like they have improved defenses, but their offenses took major drops. I don't know how they improved this throughout the season, but they both appear to be average teams with bits of elite talent. I would say, to me, there's no difference. The only difference between LSU this year and last year was Jaden Daniels' ability to run, to be a true dual.
That game last night was a walking, talking, living, breathing Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
They were
just And Lincoln had the luxury of that. And defensively they did some things that were good, but it did kind of strike you as odd because let me put it like this right here. That is something that LSU is going to have to fix. There are two things. First off, they came into this game, and I know they had a couple of wide receivers out, so maybe that had something to do with it. But
they didn't expect any Lincoln Riley defensive backs to make open tackles in the flats like that. So I think that shocked them a little bit. They could do that.
Lincoln. Well, this is the thing that kind of bothered me about USC's defense, and it's the only little slight that I'll give. They still are playing with cushions. So they're not pressing. They're playing a cushion. They're playing man cushion defense. So that's going to be a problem going forward, especially in Big Ten play. That's going to be a problem. And to me, I told Brian Kelly, if you listening to this podcast now, I told you a few days ago or last week what to do. I said, hey, if things get tough, don't sit there and try to outscore him. Don't sit there and try to go toe-to-toe with him. This is what you do. 3 yards in a cloud of dust football, run slants, and do what you need to do. They were basically giving you all of that last night. But you chose and said, I'm mighty LSU. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to put the game in Nussmeier's hand. That ain't it, especially when you're going out there with Kyron Lacy and y'all are making stupid penalties, all the rest of this stuff. So I don't know. It just felt like This is typical LSU under Brian Kelly.
Herb Street's dog would have been a better play caller.
And you know, with the Brady or whatever his name is, the guy that came from the DC that came from Missouri, all summer you heard about, oh, he wants to blitz and Harold Perkins is going to be on leash because all he's going to do is blitz and he's going to be in this, he's going to rush. And I kept seeing Harold Perkins standing up there by the line, and I seen him dropping, and I was like, what are we doing?
You know what I came away from that game last night? I know you want to talk about an overreaction. I know it's early. I think we could walk in there and beat them this year if things don't change.
Yeah.
Because like everyone's like pointing to our schedule and how tough it is, which I'm like, okay. And I've said all year, a couple of these teams are going to end up being frauds. LSU is a prime candidate to be fraud number one.
Yeah.
So, and listen, like Texas I've been pretty confident that Texas may be a fraud too, but we'll find out what happens in Dallas. But all seriousness, it's like our season could come down seriously to whether we can win a game in Baton Rouge or not, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
What I saw last night, what I saw Oklahoma capable of doing, and like as down as I am on the O-line, it's like I think that can be fixed, or the term I like to use is maintenance. I don't want to say fix. Fix means it'll be great and do great things. Maintenance. Like, you know, who amongst us hasn't had a car in our lives, if you're old enough, so like who had a bad radiator, to put water in it to get to point A to point B. You stay at that one place for a while, you come back, put more water in it to get back home. I did that in my radio station days. So it's like we can maintenance this offensive line, put a little water in the radiator. We'll make it through one game. And then we'll figure it out the next week. But if LSU starts losing and dropping games, they ain't gonna put that game at night.
Yeah,
they're gonna make that a noon kick.
Yeah,
the way things are going.
And this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it. Hats off to USC. That was a great win. Y'all did what y'all needed to do. Brian Kelly, you need to come and talk to us. We need to get you. But my last thought is this right here. USC fans, you can click this whatever you want to do. We don't want Lincoln back. We've moved on. We feel like we got our coach. We're moving in the right direction. Look, at the end of the day, Lincoln took OU to the shoe, right? Beat a really good Ohio State team that year. Still went to the and went to the college football playoffs with the best team that he's ever had, and still pissed down his leg, right? He's taken us to the college football playoffs on seasons just like this right here, where he's had a really big win against a really, really good team, right? Whether it be Texas or whatever random year or whatever random team was good, West Virginia or whatever. And we still got curve stumped. There are still problems with your defense. There are still problems in that house, but y'all fixed what y'all needed to do. Y'all won. So that's all that I have to say about that. But I want to talk about
real quick. There's another thing USC needs to fix. Whoever created that hype video for them needs to apparently failed Greek mythology. Y'all had a Trojan horse in your hype video for the Trojans. Just throwing this out there. The Trojans weren't the one who made the Trojan horse. It was the Greeks who made the Trojan horse to trick y'all dumb, you know what, to get inside your impenetrable wall, and then about 2 a.m. in the morning, they air assaulted out of the belly out of that beast and they killed y'all. You basically just it is like he's like, yeah, we're the Trojans. No, that's not how that works.
They're believing right now. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. And people, please understand that this is week 1. The college football playoff now being expanded to 12 teams. It changes the whole outlook on the season, because you can look elite the week 1 and still be a fraud later on in the year. And you can look terrible the first game of the season and probably be elite towards the end. So we got to see how these teams finish, people. Let's talk about Miami and Florida quickly before
that was my nap game. That was my sleep watch game. Everyone's got a sleep watch game.
You're in Florida. Look, I don't know how you slept through that massacre right there. It was
very easily. It's just like, people. Like, I always have a game where I'm just kind of like chilling on the couch or whatever. And it's just like I could hear the game while I sleep. And I was like, what's going on? All right, they're still losing bad.
For for my Game of Thrones nerds out there, my Game of Thrones geeks, look, Cam Ward walked in there by himself and gave all of Florida, right? All of Gainesville. He gave them that Khal Drogo. You know what I'm talking about. He got real. It got real wicked in there. This is coming into this game. You know, I don't know why I didn't hone in on this game a little bit more than what I did on these different pods I was on, simply because the fact of the matter is that our coach has taken a lot of heat. More heat than these two coaches have. Cristobal costing himself games on the dumbest of decisions. Napier, for whatever reason, I just cannot get out of his way, no matter if he has talent or not. I mean, it was beautiful. It was an expose. But I know, you know, like my uncle, he was like, okay, was it really that impressive of a win? It's Florida. We know Florida's not good. But I say first game of the season, you know who Cristobal is. You know what he's about. You know those are games that he would normally play close. Cam Ward came in there, and Cam Ward was amazing. The stuff that he was doing with the ball was nothing short of great. It was an expose. Florida, I don't know how they rebound. I don't know what they do. I don't know the extent of the Graham Mertz injury. If somebody does, drop it in the chat. But I would say this right here, they got a lot to figure out. And I think DJ Lagway is going to have to see himself on the field at some point. But Miami, with the schedule that they have, I think Florida is Florida. I don't think Clemson is not on their schedule. Florida State is not on their schedule.
No, Florida State's on their schedule. They don't.
No, Florida State's on their schedule, but
yeah, there's no way they don't play the Seminoles.
There's not too many teams that really scare me on their schedule. They have one of the best schedules to go undefeated this year.
It's interesting because I would have told you Virginia Tech, but I don't know after this past weekend anymore about Virginia Tech, because like everyone, like Virginia Tech is one of those sleeper ACC teams, and they lose to Vanderbilt. I don't know what that means about with Vandy and them, but it's like that. But I don't know what the tough, like Florida State just by default might be their tough, unless you count Georgia Tech on the road. But if you want to throw that in there, but yeah, if this is Miami's opportunity, if you don't take advantage of what you think you are right now based on the slate in front of you, it's your own fault. You know, Duke is rebuilt. Duke is rebuilding. You're playing Cal on the road. I know it's weird times. Virginia Tech looks overrated. I mean, maybe on the road at South Florida will be. I'm stretching here. I'm reaching. I'm trying to find something that will.
South Florida could be a competitive game.
I'm not even 100% serious on that. I'm just like trying to like maybe that's a sneaky game. I don't know.
At Georgia Tech, at Syracuse, and at Louisville, look like those are going to be there. Florida State at home, Georgia Tech on the road, Syracuse on the road, and Louisville on the road. Those are going to be their 4 toughest games this year.
If you don't take advantage of it this year, Miami, I don't know what to tell you. You should drop football. Seriously, I'm dead serious. If you can't take advantage of it this year, the way things are, like you are on your way to a top 4 seed, winning the conference. Because there's no one. If you can play like that now, Florida might be straight trash, and like someone else will just give them a bigger challenge. Because I think there's a possibility that Florida's just that bad. Because you know, I've heard Florida fans like try to say, well, Miami just everything's bought and paid for. They just bought players. Like, yes, they did. You can do that now legally. Why aren't you doing that?
Sean, say that again. Dabo, I want you. I know Dabo's in the back right now listening. Go ahead and say that for him too.
You could buy players now. It's legal. You could write a check. It's all right. Now, you can go in the portal all you want and try to get guys. That wasn't going to help you beat Georgia. Georgia's going to whoop your ass anyway. But with Florida, it's like I thought Florida was bad a couple of years ago. Like, man, this is the worst I've seen. No, this is the worst. This has a chance to be the worst Florida team. We're talking historic. We have to go back to like pre-Spurrier as a player days, maybe.
Yeah,
as how bad Florida is.
They so LSU fans and Florida fans are in the same boat right now. both teams. I've listened to a crap ton of Twitter spaces for both teams, and the consensus is, hell, at this point, we might as well just throw a boatload of money at Kiffin and go ahead and get that experience over. I've heard a lot of stuff after game one about Brian Kelly and Napier. A lot of people talking Napier does not.
So let's throw money at the snake oil salesman who's only around for 2 or 3 years at the most at any one place. I mean, it should, like, Florida should not be that hard to be a consistent winner. Not winning the SEC every year, but like, you should be a player. You know what I mean? It should be so. I don't know why it's difficult for, well, Miami is a different story, and they're finally somewhat open with the checkbook there. But it's like, when you're in one of those states that produces players, like legit dudes, I don't know. I don't know how you fail that hard. Like, now you can claim NIL reasons or whatever, but it's like, man, if you don't get your boosters on board, if everyone there's no alignment in your school between the boosters, the president, the AD, the coaches, it's like, this is why I love being an OU fan, because like even with a little bit of turmoil we had a couple years ago, we're still aligned. We still have like alignment with everybody. So, you know, we have philosophies on the way to do certain things, but it's kept the program, you know, stable, and we're back on the right track. And again, alignment's everything. So if one thing's off, the whole thing, it goes off the rails really quickly. So like, for all the Florida schools to be, at one point they were all just like garbage. Miami might change that this year, but I feel like I'm in the twilight zone with all the major Florida schools just like not getting their crap together. It is just weird to me. It's like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for Texas to ever be as bad as they've been consistently. USC has no excuse. So
no, I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on with Florida. Napier experience has definitely been an experience. Maybe not in the way they imagine.
I knew it was bad when I heard he had the nickname Sunbelt Billy. I was like, oh,
I thought Billy Napier was gonna go there and crush it. He had a decent team. He had a Lambo, but he was riding around with Pirellis on there. He didn't have the actual, you know what I'm saying? Hey, people, look, I'm using that reference again. Hey, he went to Walmart for a Lambo and got an oil change, and he got the Pirellis on the Lambo, man. I don't know. It just has not worked out there. 6-6 the first year, I believe. Last year was last year, and this year doesn't seem like it's going to be better. I think what he has to do is just say, look, we're going to play. I think you have to go with Lagway. Like, you have to. And maybe he's not the answer, but I mean, skill-wise, all the rest of that stuff, it looked like Miami was on another level, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are still convinced. They're convinced that Cam Ward is a guy, but I don't know if they're necessarily convinced that Miami.
That's the thing. I don't even think Cam Ward. I mean, and this is not me ripping on Miami. It was like, I never thought Cam Ward was his end-all be-all player, but he looked like it on Saturday. Yeah. And that's all that really matters right now. If you're a Miami fan, it's like, oh my God, we opened up and we're on the road and we look good, and that helps momentum and everything. And again, like, they have a schedule where, like, assuming it's unless Florida is just that bad, which there's a possibility of that, like they'll beat Samford next week. After that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Florida can win a game the rest of the season. That's scary. So I think UCF has a chance to walk in with KJ Jefferson and he looks like garbage. I don't know if you've seen KJ Jefferson highlights recently. But it was 9-0 for like the longest. I watched just about every game that I could possibly find. It was 9-0 for a little bit too long for me. Let's see, Florida football schedule. Let's go to it real quick. You said Florida needs to find a way to beat UCF just to have some hope.
Why the hell would you? I mean, that Texas A&M game could be a toss-up because Weidman is not that. I would
pick A&M over Florida right now.
And so you're going to give Levy? You're going to give Levy?
Well, no, you said A&M, so it's like with A&M, at least A&M and their loss was competitive into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I can at least say, okay, they have a fighting chance to win their game.
I'm saying, but you're going to give Mississippi State that very next week a chance to beat them. They play Mississippi State on the road, so
that's a must-win for Florida.
That's a must-win. That and
That's
then the UCF the very next week. Like, you have to win those games. If you don't win those two games, he's probably asked to leave to vacate that office probably within 3 hours after the game.
Like if I'm Billy Napier, I'm happy that there was a game last night and people are more talking about Brian Kelly than they are talking about me right now. But for the most part, it's just, I don't know. Like, everyone looked at Florida's back half of their schedule and went,
yeah. The problem for Florida is that me and my uncle, we go back and forth about this, but Billy Napier's buyout still at around about $25 million. But
that's all. Oh yeah, that's nothing compared to what Jimbo Fisher's was, right? Am I right?
I think they paid that off already.
Well, they got rid of him, but at the same time, it's like, well, your new head coach started off 0-1, not great, but just Florida got a bad roll with the schedule and everything. Everyone's like they're one of the few schedules that are tougher than ours because they got all these games back to back to back to back to back to back. At least I can at least say we have a South Carolina in between some games here and there. We have a Maine in there somewhere. I know people are high on Auburn right now. Auburn, what a game! They scored points. They played a garbage team, but yeah. I would hope they would. But I'm just
so big takeaways from that game. Cam Ward is that guy. Miami is not back, but
the ACC is just awful.
It's bad. It's bad. But hey, at least they're not the Pac-12. People, we're going to week 2 games now. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's see. Week 2. What? Oh, obviously Texas, Michigan. What are we thinking with that, people? First off, we already talked about Texas early on, people. We just gave them a compliment. We said, hey, that was great. I said, hey, my only dig is y'all got to tell Quinn, stay in the pocket, stop running. Bad things happen when he starts running.
I think your cohorts at Fanatic would say the same thing. It's like, just don't get hurt.
My heart of heart, I want to pick Michigan because I believe they're going to make this a really physical game. But after seeing the debacle that they have at quarterback, I don't know what to believe. I'm hoping that Orgy was just suspended. But at this point, if you're going back and forth with those two, not suspended, but maybe he was
suspended.
Some type of, like, I don't know.
I follow Michigan stuff on the reg because over the past, like, Michigan sports in general with college, Michigan State has been some of the most interesting stuff outside of like my own little purview for years now. People really underestimate how hated Michigan State is. Like, it's Iron Bowl levels of hate. People just don't realize it. I mean, the tunnel incident they had not too long ago. I mean, that's like right up there. But getting back to the Michigan's, like, coming off their cheated national championship win. They lost a bunch of starters on offense. They lost JJ, and I know they have their running back they're high on, who not used to being the number one guy. Sharon Morris take over as head coach. The defense, the front is still really good for Michigan, and I know they got an elite defensive back, and that's what kind of like made the score look a lot prettier than it did against Fresno, because the fourth quarter Fresno was forcing the ball down the field, and Michigan took advantage. But offensively, Michigan's just not good right now. I've read reports, I've heard people talk, local Detroit sports talk radio, how the battle between Orgy and the other guy has just not been. It's not very good. They don't have a quarterback. So the offense.
What about the 5-star?
What 5-star? They don't
got a 5-star quarterback last year. He was a freshman this past year.
Well, guess what? He's not good enough, or he's not ready, or whatever. So it was down to Orgy and the walk-on. They went with the walk-on to start the game, and I know people want Michigan to win because they hate Texas, and that's where a lot of this is. But let's be real here. Like Texas, as much as I can criticize Quinn Ewers about his game, they have a quarterback. Their offensive line, as flawed as it can be at times, they have an experienced offensive line. They have young receivers who can make plays. We saw it on Saturday. Okay, the Wingo's going out there catching passes. He's like, they looked crisp. They look like a well-oiled machine at times. Anthony Hill is going to be a potential all-conference, potential all-American linebacker himself if he keeps things going. And I just think Texas, the more complete teams, to go up there and win convincingly. Are they going to blow them out? Probably not, because Michigan will get their stops, and I think they'll keep things interesting for a little bit. But if you can't score points, you couldn't score points against Fresno State until it's the end of the game, until your defense did it for you. So I'm sorry, I would love to point and laugh and because I've told Texas fans for a while now, look, you're supposed to win this game. You better win this game. If you don't, to me, if Texas, because people think, oh no, if Texas doesn't win this game, it's a giant red flag.
So you were telling me that you're going to come on the Horns Down podcast and pick Texas. That's what you're saying.
I'm honest. I have my credit. Listen, I could be a hater. I can make fun of them all damn day. But I'm going to call it like I see it, is Michigan does not have the horses to beat Texas right now. And doesn't mean I think Texas is this great team. I just think they're of a more complete team than Michigan. And I think the Big House is one of the most overrated road environments, period. It's just not as intimidating as people make it out to be. I think going to Columbus is tougher. Going to Wisconsin and Camp Randall is tougher.
You're crazy.
Michigan's an overrated road.
It's a landmark. It's a place of nostalgia,
Sure, but I don't think it's this a daunting place where you just can't go up there and win. Ask Ohio State. They've done it for years now.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the other end of this spectrum. Okay. I think Michigan is going to win. I think they're going to limit possessions. I think defensively they can stay in the game. I think they'll be able to stop that whole spread attack. You just have to when you're running zone, you have to make sure that you're playing your clouds and doing everything that you're supposed to do, because that's where Texas starts killing you, is whenever Sark is telling Quinn, just throw to an area, this guy be open right here. So if you can really stop that and just force them to me, they're not as explosive as they were last year. They lost 11 key players. Who cares what they did against Colorado State? Fact of the matter is, they're going to Michigan. They're going to be on the road. We all know, in my heart of hearts, I don't trust Quinn Ewers in huge games. Just be honest with you. I think that they can create some problems for Texas, and I think that they'll be able to run the ball on Texas. And I think that they can shrink the game. And the fact of the matter is, all you really need that quarterback to do, whoever is going to be the quarterback, you just need them to be able to make the right plays, make the right reads, especially on third downs, and keep it, because it's going to be they're going to be living in third and short. They're not going to have third and longs, different things like that. I think they'll be okay. And the walk-on, I'm not a believer in him, but I think that they'll be okay. I think that they can go out there and move the ball. I do.
The Michigan offensive line is you think we're worried about our O-line? Ask Michigan fans. It's just, I don't think they have the O-line. They don't have the playmakers. I just, again, this is more about Michigan than it is about Texas at the end of the day.
Coach,
and Texas is just a more complete team.
Coach, look, this is not me even hating on Texas. I'm not trying to hate. I saw what they did against Colorado State.
I want people to say I'm one of the guys. I never miss an opportunity to make fun of Texas, especially on my channel. I poke fun at you guys all the time. So take it from me when I'm saying y'all gonna win this game. All right.
All I'm saying is this.
Dallas is a different story. We'll whoop in your ass again this year.
They're going to slow this game down and make this about possessions. I really, in my heart of hearts, I believe that they're going to make this game about possessions. I think I'm going to give it to Michigan. I'm going to say Michigan. I'm going to say Michigan by a touchdown.
You just don't.
I'm going to say Michigan by a touchdown.
Look, I thought that Alabama would whoop them last year, and I was wrong. And there's a little part of that in me. It's like, okay, you know what? Like, they can go on the road week 2 and get someone who's not ready to They're breaking in new players because that's kind of what Alabama was kind of like that last year. They're breaking in a new quarterback and they're trying to figure themselves out, and so it's kind of the same thing with Michigan. And I feel like we're gonna like. I saw enough from they got the ball to 10 to like Ewers got the ball to 10 different receivers at home. They look crisp. If they looked like they did against like Rice last year, where they're going for it on 4th and 1 and they can't get a yard, it's like,
I mean, to start the game. But that was like the opening drive. But
opening drive. But as the game went on, it just like the floodgates came open. And it's like again, is Michigan better than Colorado State? Yes, but I gotta break the bad news. Like Texas, if Texas loses that game, giant red flag in Austin. Giant red flag, but I'm saying it's going to happen. Coach, I know you in the chat. You hear me? I'm not saying this for the show. Go Michigan by 3. Let's move on to the next game. Let's go to another hated team that wears orange. Let's just put it out there. Here's the question. Yes or no? Can Arkansas go and do the impossible, right? Because they're going to be a heavy underdog in Stillwater this weekend. They're going to be an underdog? I mean,
I don't know what Vegas is saying, but to me, they
what's
would
the
be
line?
Underdog. The line for the game is Oklahoma State, Okie Light, 7.5, -7.5.
Oh, okay. That's a decent line. Yeah, Arkansas can walk in there and win, sure. I mean, they're going to be leaning on Ollie Gordon for the most part, aren't they?
They're going to be leaning on Ollie Gordon. I think Arkansas I think they have the team speed to really stay with that, and I think Landon Jackson should be a first round pick this year. D lineman out of Pleasant Grove. Shout out to one of my unks. He was big on that kid out of high school. I was like, he never panned out until he did pan out. But I think it'll be interesting. The only thing that scares me is simply the fact that I don't know necessarily what they have at quarterback, because he just runs. Like, he's coming from Boise State, so I'm like, maybe he has a decent pedigree, but I don't know if he can really sling the rock like that. If anybody in the chat knows, I don't know. But I think it should be a really good game. But I'll probably go with Okie Light. And I'm going to be honest with you, probably going to go Okie Light by 2 tutties.
Oh, Arkansas covers. I'll say they cover the spread. Hey, they scored 76 points last week. I've never seen Arkansas do that in like a while, so I'll give them that.
All right. Okay.
I'll say the Pokes win a close one, and they people get to continue a narrative about the SEC like disintegrating, which I don't really care. I just like that that's the new thing is like, is the SEC done? I'm like, it is. It's like Georgia's still around, last I checked.
See. Utah plays Baylor next week. Iowa versus Iowa State. We already know Iowa's going to figure out how to win that game. I don't know what it is. Iowa State,
they always do. It doesn't matter.
They just can't beat them. Let's see. Is there any other games out there that's really, really interesting? What's
NC State, Tennessee?
Oh, NC State, Tennessee. Yeah. I'll let you go first on that one.
I watched NC State struggle against a program that a Lincoln Riley defense shut out to like 3 years ago. So that was a little concerning. I know it's a different program still, and they have a quarterback who's decent at Western Carolina, but even so, NC State was in danger of losing that game at home to something called Western Carolina. That was a little concerning. And I would watch that game if it wasn't for the fact that OU was playing Houston right at the exact same time. So I'll go with the Vols. I think OU and the Vols are on a crash course to have a big first conference game against each other.
Yeah.
So I got the Vols.
That's what it seems.
Nico made some really, really good throws. It's Chattanooga, don't get me wrong, but he made some really good throws.
In those type of games, I'm all about execution, man. That's what it looks. That's what it's for me. I'm not necessarily a big numbers guy. I'm a big eye test guy, and I mean, kid passed the eye test. I mean,
well, he can throw his dudes open.
Yeah.
So, but he's got to be careful. Like people were like, "I'm really impressed with this throw. He threw like over 3 linebackers and got a receiver open." It's like you're going to be playing up against better linebackers who have a rocket up their ass and might be able to tip that ball if you're not careful. So just
I got this is how I think the game is going to go. I think both teams will probably maybe struggle out the gate, but I think eventually Tennessee probably wins by probably 14, 20 points or so. I think they open the floodgates on NC State. But I mean, I don't know. Where's that game being played at? Is that NC
Charlotte?
State, right?
Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad, Shawty. My bad. I played coach. Well, hey, no, still, listen, I got Michigan. Don't worry about it. But I think NC State,
See,
I want to get in the benefit of the doubt, but I can't. No, I'm not. No, I'm good.
By the way, when Texas wins on Saturday, you know what is it's going to really hurt your feelings?
What's that?
AP is going to make him number 2. It's going to hurt your feelings. I'm warning you, it's coming. It's coming. Get ready.
It is going to hurt my feelings. Here's a game. Here is low key my game of the week. Here is low key my game of the week, people. And please, I am not a fan. I am not a fan. I'm gonna say that one more time. I am not a fan. But Nebraska, Colorado is going to be a really, really good game next week.
Oh God!
I mean, this weekend, people. I'm sorry.
Got some Friday Night Lights drama level crap going on that game.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I'm gonna lean and say Colorado wins this game. Okay, Colorado wins this game.
I think Colorado covers. I'll give them that.
Let me see. Nebraska -7. That's the spread right now. People spam in the chat who you guys think is going to win, Colorado or Nebraska. I got Colorado.
So I got Matt Rule year 2 over Coach Deion Sanders year 2. Everyone wants to give Travis Hunter as your first August Heisman winner. That dude's going to get hurt again because he's playing 100 plus snaps a game, which is stupid. Pick a position and go with it before you go to the draft. I'm Dylan Rail. We got one game to look at. The funniest thing I've ever heard is Dylan Rail, the best downfield passer Nebraska's ever had. Yes. Have you seen Nebraska football the past 20 years? And before that, it was all option read or triple option stuff. So, like downfield throwing, they've been just catching up. My problem with Nebraska is that, from what I understand, there's not a lot of faith. They don't have the athletes on the back end on the defense yet, not even close. And so that's where it gets dangerous when you have a guy like Shador and you got Travis Hunter who can just have a field day with that stuff, despite how you feel about Colorado or Deion. With that being said, the defense for Colorado is equally as trash. So it is going to be a dumpster fire football game. It will be very entertaining. I'm going to go Colorado covers, but Nebraska wins. So
you don't make these things fun, Sean. Come on, man.
I'm just being honest. That's how I feel. Man. That's how I feel. I mean,
where's the Colorado love, man?
Colorado love. Colorado love. Oh no. You got to cover. You got a guy on the cover of the video game. You got all the love you need, Colorado, as far as I'm concerned.
And that's a night game too, 6:30 NBC. So I'll have my iPad going at least just for that game to be on.
Oh yeah, that's technically a Big Ten prime time. Like everyone's trying to relearn who's in what conference now. So
let me see. You got Let's see. Is there any other games out there? I think we said Utah, Baylor, but I mean, I'll probably go Utah since that's at Utah. Kansas at Illinois. Can Brett Bielema can he be consistent? I think that's kind of the question.
Oh, Big Bird. I don't know. I'm if Jalen Daniels is healthy and can stay that way, I'll go with the Jayhawks. He's in his like 8th year of eligibility, right? So
yeah. Was West Virginia a letdown for you this week?
I had a game on the background, and I didn't expect them to beat Penn State anyway. So you can't let me down if I don't expect you to win. So
yeah.
Cortez Mills ain't going to Nebraska for that visit.
I've heard that was fake. I'm hearing that's fake now.
I don't think it's fake. It's just the fact that, from what I understand, it's like there was a conversation like, look, if you go to this visit, you're gonna have to decommit. You don't want to. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too, and I don't think he wants to. He don't want to mess up his. He don't want to mess up his Oklahoma commitment just because he thinks the visit is like, don't go. They will look at you and say peace. So it's worked for Brent so far. So
people, look, we've been on here for an hour 20 minutes. Had a bunch of people in here like, subscribe, do all those different things. Sean, you got anything else before we get up out of here?
Happy Labor Day. I didn't wear. Oh, you don't wear white tomorrow, right? However that works. Pretty much it still doesn't feel like the season's here yet. I know we just watched football and talked about a bunch of football, but I'm waiting for the conference slate to get going, and that's where I'm really getting excited. Just like that's like I think hopefully a big moment for OU, and then I think it's gonna be a night game. It's pretty much assuming OU and Tennessee take care of business. Game day is a lock to come to Norman. So it'll be a huge environment, and hopefully we can down the road start off our SEC slate.
One just quick thing, if you don't mind, if you just have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Are we gonna let Oregon out of here? Are we just gonna give them a mulligan, or should we unpack that?
Let who?
Oregon.
Oh, I couldn't watch that game because for whatever reason my Big Ten network wasn't working for me this past weekend. So I tried to turn it on. I'm like, well, what is going on up in Eugene? I mean, Dylan's numbers looked all right at the end of the day. They're playing back-to-back Idaho schools, so they're playing Boise this week. So we'll see how that turns out. Man, I picked them to win the Big Ten, so they need to get their crap together, man. Seriously. I picked Oregon to win the Big Ten because I'm like, all right, if anyone can walk in with the best quarterback play, because I don't believe in Will Howard for a second.
No, that's no.
Don't get me wrong. Ohio State got talent all around him. But but we're talking like they'll win a lot of games. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we're talking about national title. Will Howard, national title quarterback? No, I don't buy that for a minute.
I just thought it was funny with Oregon. I was like, y'all, this is what y'all wanted. So I don't know. Dan Lanning seemed really pressed in that press conference. If you haven't watched that, please go see that post-game press conference that he did. It was somebody had a comment that basically encompassed the entire video. They said, I guess he needs to watch the film.
I watched a bunch of drunk LSU people like curse up a storm on a podcast last night. It was great.
Oh, man.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I'm telling you, the best thing is the best people. The 3 best Twitter spaces right now on Twitter, and Twitter spaces are not necessarily the most popular thing anymore like they were a few years ago. But if you want to have a good time, you want to listen to some people really mad, get upset, go after games, go to a Florida podcast, go to a Florida State, Florida, or Miami Twitter space. It's not for the weak, so people don't go in there faint-hearted. Also, there is an Ohio State half game Twitter space that it's nothing short of amazing. It is nothing short of.
I took the Brian Kelly clip where he hits the table, add a little squeak toy noise when he hits the table, and it's just like perfect. That's all I need. That's all I need to do today. But I kind of had a moment today where I sat back, like all the SEC craziness that's happening. Like, we're a part of this now. This is neat. This is fun. We're a part of all this like silliness, and it's like it affects our season directly now. It's like, you know what? All right, this is fun. I'm in. Let's now, don't get me wrong. We're gonna have our horrible nights too. Those are coming. And they're gonna happen at least a couple times this year at minimum. So we're gonna have some meltdowns ourselves, probably coming from me, depending on who we lose to. But it's just we're in it, man. We're in this. We signed up for all this stuff, and here we go. So
no explanation needed. Real quick, just one last thing. Does Florida State win? Yes or no?
Oh, they do play tonight, don't they?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? They're playing a team from Boston.
So. With Bob. Bob is back, people. Bill O'Brien is back in the building. You know what I'm saying? All right, Sean, tell them where they can find you at. Tell them about your YouTube podcast and everything too.
I don't have a podcast, but I do YouTube videos on the reg in the season. And I pop up whenever I get my thoughts on things. I do watch alongs for games. Well, like I said, I'll be doing one for Texas, Michigan, and then for OU Houston later in the evening on Saturday. So those are the two games I got for that. But yeah, ONIKUNO, ONIKUNO. You'll find me. I promise. I did a fake outrage rant last night. Wasn't my best work, but it got a couple of clicks. I was hoping to go viral, make that real football YouTuber money, but still haven't done that yet. And but at some point, I hope to break through, and I think it's going to start once we start playing Tennessee and all these other teams. That's when everything will skyrocket. Rising tides raise all boats. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm gonna hit you up at some point. If things are going my way, then I may ask to jump on that live that watch along.
Watch along. Hey. Sometimes I do this stuff on myself. Sometimes, so it's like I'm just like someone to talk to, and not because the crazy people show up in my chat.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Incomplete on third down. Oh my god, we suck. Like
I've seen that. I've seen that.
It's like it's all right. It's like Chiefs scored the opening drive.
Bagman said only at a call-in show. That would be comedy.
Y'all know I'm on like blood pressure and anxiety medication, right?
That would be.
Y'all know I take twice a day for blood pressure, and I got up to 3 pills I can take for anxiety. That I at least take one a day. Y'all trying to murder me? I haven't even made it to 50 yet. So
that would be comedy, because I know for sure I would definitely do a prank call, but
no.
But no, think about it, man. Think about it. But yeah, people, look, we've been on here for 1 hour and 28 minutes. I got Florida State, if you guys were wondering. I don't think that they lose 2 times in a row. I don't know. I think they're a better team than that, but we'll see. Let's see game 2 of the DJU Mike Norvell experience and see if that defense has a pulse this weekend. So, yeah. So, Sean, if you don't have anything else to say, my guy, we'll go ahead and end it there. Shout out to the people who
no call-in shows for me ever. Not happening.
There's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one